Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott, and today our guest is Rob from the hit show Dads Needs to Talk, based out of Texas. Rob, welcome to the show.
What's up, Scott? Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, as Scott said, I am Rob, aka Father of Vash, literally because I am a father of five, three boys, twin girls, and my youngest son is literally named Vash after Vash the Stampede from Trigon. So when y'all see my content with the name Father of Vash in it or whatever, that is very literal. So yeah,
Does
so
he does he
thank you.
have is he a stampede then?
Yeah, like matter of fact, I just heard the pitter patter of feet on the other side of this wall here. Uh, cause yeah, in hindsight, he'll be five next week. So over these 5 years, it seems like I picked the perfect name for him because he has been a literal humanoid typhoon, leaving destruction and devastation in his wake for almost 5 years now. So
And slowly increasing the cost of your insurance.
yes, yes, yes.
People have watched the anime or read the manga, they know that reference. So
Yes.
Rob, not only do you have a podcast, but you say you're a father. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your family?
Yeah. So my four oldest kids, they're actually my step kids because when me and my wife got together many years ago, she already had the older four. Of course, they were quite young at the time. I think they were oof, 5, 4, and 1. That sounds about right. So very young, and now here we are all these years later, and the oldest four are now uh a lot of their brothers this month, so I'll just say their ages they're going to be so 14, 13, 10, and then of course, like I said, Vash is 5. So we got a full house. I got three teenagers on my hand. Yeah, it is a wild time, a busy time, especially because aside from just general parenting and stuff, my three oldest kids they do sports all year round. So my oldest boy and youngest girl both do basketball, and my oldest daughter she does track. So yeah. So always on the go, always moving. But hey, I still get in a little bit of time for my manga and fun stuff here and there where I can. So but yeah, that is the basic makeup of my wholesome little family.
So if anyone who knows your podcast, it is big on anime and manga. Since you're
Mhm.
just speaking of it, how did you find that passion?
Man, so with anime, that's just something that I've been into since I was very little. Probably I'm trying to think, probably as far back as at least maybe like the age of like 6 or 7. Um, from what I can remember. So, of course, it's like, coming home every day from school, getting off the bus, just rushing to get in front of the TV to, watch Dragon Ball and Zoids and Hamtaro and all the little classic gems. And then that just continued to grow, as I grew up or whatever, just kind of just became a normal part of my life, because even like Saturday mornings, watching Digimon and Toonami late nights and stuff, which that just kind of uh the late night Toonami era of the late 90s, early 2000s was really big in just like the exposure of anime and stuff that I had got into. And when I was in high school, probably like towards like the very end of high school, that's when I first started getting into manga, all because of Naruto. Because at the time, I was watching Naruto week to week on TV. Yes, young people watching TV. No streaming services, none of this nice luxury stuff y'all have now. But yeah, so I was watching every week and I'm like, man, I'm tired of waiting week to week. There's gotta be more. And so I never forget, I was at school and I had a more or less kind of like a free period. It was like a computer class, but we really didn't do nothing. The teacher, he was super chill. It was just like, hey, you're in here for like an hour and some change, whatever. And so I was like looking online, and that's when I discovered, via like the Wikipedia, that oh hey, there's even more episodes of Naruto in Japanese, and they're like way ahead, hundreds of episodes ahead. So I'm like, oh, cool. So that was kind of like the first like step towards getting to manga, because it was like, okay, I'm going from just watching normal English dub to the sub. I was on that for a good little while. Then eventually I caught up again, and it's like, crap, there's got to be more. And thus I discovered the world of manga, because it's like, oh, all this stuff you're watching, a lot of it started off in a book, comic, book fashion, whatever. And, and here I am many years later with my little collection behind me, but everything behind me is from like the last year.
Mm.
Because up until last year when I started doing my podcast and stuff, I was just reading it just online through like Shonen Jump and stuff like that. And then it wasn't until last year when I started doing this or whatever that I was like, let me try physically collecting. And it's a very slippery slope.
Down the rabbit hole you go.
Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, that's kind of the long and short of my journey getting into anime. Of course, another kind of like pivotal moment too for me was when I went to college, because through so my day job, I work in the IT field, and so traditionally technology geeks and other nerdum are all kind of in the same circles. And so a lot of people that I met, my roommates and just people I met through my different classes, whatever, of course, no big surprise, they were also anime nerds. And they kind of also got me exposed to even more stuff than, what I knew growing up and stuff. So yeah.
Well, that's phenomenal. Yes, it is. As you said, it's a slippery slope. Especially when you discover, like, oh, these are filler episodes. There's actually,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Uh, so what? Since a father of five, I
Mhm.
know a lot of our listeners may not be parents, or someday
Mhm.
might. What advice would you give to parents on how to introducing kids to the hobby?
For me, it just kind of it's something to where those of my kids that are into it or at least have shown interest, they've more or less kind of gotten into it on their own. Of course they know what it is, even if they're not necessarily in it, they know what it is because I'm always watching stuff, or they see me coming home with the big Barnes and Noble's bag, and it's like, oh, you got some more books? I'm like, yep, surely did. Uh, but like my middle son, he he just dove into it on his own. I never forget, like this is maybe like a couple years ago. I'm just sitting in my room or whatever, and like his room is like close to mine, and I'm hearing certain sound effects, and I'm like, that is that Naruto coming from somewhere outside of my bedroom? And so I go to his room and I'm like, what's you watching Naruto? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so, matter of fact, he just finished all of Shippuden like last week. So now he's jumped over into Boruto. And so we've kind of found that connection there because he'll kind of come and talk to me about different stuff or ask me questions. But yeah, so he's the heaviest in it out of all my other kids. My daughters, they've kind of found a connection with it through drawing and art because they're
Hmm.
really big into drawing and stuff. And so a lot of times they'll draw me stuff and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, here's I wish I had something handy," but they've drawn me like some like a whole bunch of like Pikachu's or a Naruto or somebody from My Hero or probably like one of my personal favorites, which actually I actually do have right here by me.
Oh,
For for Father's Day this year, look what they drew me.
yes, we got
Ashley
Vash.
Spade. Yes. And so they gave me this along with a lovely letter they wrote for me, and it says like happy Father's Day in there too. And so yeah, so that's kind of how they have kind of gotten into it and stuff. So but yeah, back to the actual question with the advice stuff. Yeah, like I said, I would definitely just maybe let them try to discover it on their own, or I guess more so, don't try to force it.
Hmm.
If you happen to watch it or whatever, and they're near you or in the area, and they're like, oh hey, what is that? Okay, they're slowly getting to it, but I don't necessarily go out of my way of like, hey, we're gonna have family night, we're all gonna watch,
You're not
whatever
you're not
show.
sliding Naruto under their door or like, oh, what'd you get for Christmas? Oh, Trigun, I see.
Yes,
Why don't
the
we watch it?
yes, a bunch of manga or stuff just as a stocking stuffers.
Yes. Yes. I'm trying to get them to learn Japanese for you.
Yes. Though speaking of that though, cuz something I like to talk about too is like long before I was a father, I was an uncle. And so I had many years as an uncle. I was an uncle from the age of 4. So I have a lot of nieces and nephews over the years, but when you mentioned the speaking of Japanese, um my sister's youngest daughter, she's about to be 15. Yeah. She'll be 15 in a couple months, but she just started high school, and she's actually really big into anime and manga because earlier this year for her birthday, I got her what did I get her? Because even though she's still fairly young, she's into a lot of different stuff. So I got her like I think I got her Comey Can Communicate,
That's
Spy
great.
Family, and a copy of Bongo Stray Dogs, because she's also into like some of like the darker stuff too, and stuff. So, but she's actually trying to learn Japanese currently, so which I thought was like really cool, because so when I was visiting with her over the summer, we're just talking, catching up on anime and manga stuff, whatever. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Uncle Robert, I'm learning, I'm working on Japanese." I'm like, "Yes,
Yes.
yes." So yeah, so my kids aren't there yet, but hey,
You're like, Uncle Rob needs a translator. Come with
yes.
me.
So yeah, so that's a pretty cool thing. Which once again, she just kind of got into that on her own. So yeah.
So Rob, I'd love to have you share the on what's like running a podcast. But before we do, last time I met, you just had such a powerful story on how Dad's Needs to Talk came to be, and so I was wondering if you could just share with the audience, for those who might not know, what was that journey on why Dad's Needs to Talk in the first place?
Yeah. So for Dad Needs to Talk, it started out I guess kind of the short answer without diving too deep into whatever, but it kind of came in the aftermath of me going through a lot of personal grief and stuff, because within these 6 months prior to me starting the podcast, unfortunately, I had lost both my older sister, who is, like I just talked about, her daughter
Mm.
and stuff, her youngest daughter, I should say. So I lost my older sister as well as my mother within a couple of months time span. It was October 2020 for my sister, and then January 2021 for my mother, which the events that happened with them is sad enough on their own, but October is also my sister's birthday month, so she went out her birthday month, and then January is my birthday month, so I lost my mom my birthday month.
Mm.
So just kind of those two things, and we had some other life and family stuff that happened along the way. Plus, that February, that was also when a lot of the South, especially Texas, got iced over really bad. So it was just kind of like, loss after loss. And then it's like, whole state froze over. So it was just a lot of stuff going through. And so I kind of just reached a point to where it was like, okay, I have a decision to make. It's either I continue to just stew in the sadness or whatever, or I find some type of outlet or whatever. And so, uh, podcasting, that is something that I've been a fan of for over a decade plus. I've listened to many podcasts over the years. And so I decided to kind of start looking into it because I was like, you know what? This is something that's kind of like been on my mind to maybe try to do at some point, but I, never did it. Um, I've done stuff in the realm of like talking about anime and manga, whatever, because I did there's certain like Facebook groups that I've been in for many years that I'll do or I've been doing weekly threads of like, hey, the new One Piece chapter is out. Here's what's happened. Let's talk about it, or whatever, stuff like that. But yeah, so I did some research and of course, advertising works because I remember a lot of podcasts I would listen to talking about, hey, go to anchor.com/, whatever company for, whatever, or thank you so much for sponsoring. So I'm like, let me look into this, whatever. And, got on that. And I originally just started with literally just my phone. I was literally doing everything from my little phone. Uh, and I bought, I think I might have bought maybe like a $20 pop filter off of Amazon, but it got the job done. And those first, probably those first several months, I was audio only. And so yeah, so that's more or less kind of how things started, or how I got into doing this now. And now here I am, a year and a half later,
Oh,
never would have expected to be where I am. So
so I just want to stop right there for our listeners.
yeah,
The idea that all we need is a phone
yeah,
and we can start a podcast.
yeah,
No excuses. If you have a phone, you can have a podcast.
yeah,
That's incredible. All right, so keep going.
yeah. Because actually kind of expanding on that point too, it's like, granted, at first, like I wasn't really caring too much about like, hey, does this sound cool or awesome or whatever? It was just like, hey, I just need to just talk into the void. And if somebody happens to be on the other end and listening, cool. If not, this is just a way for me to just to speak, and just to get it out there. But one of my close friends had listened to it or whatever, listened to a couple of those early episodes and was like, yo, Rob, yo, your stuff sound good. Like what is your setup? And I'm like, nothing. It is literally just me talking to this phone or whatever. But like you said, it just kind of just shows the power of where technology is now to where you don't have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars to just get started. It's just like, nope, if you got a phone, then there you go. But yeah, so that's kind of where things began.
Hmm. So sorry. So going back to why we started the Dad Needs to Talk is
Mhm,
through that hardship. Was
mhm.
this kind of your way to be able to cope and handle some of that pain
Yeah,
as your
yeah,
outlet? Uh,
yes.
going when we go through hardship, what did others do that was helpful?
Mhm.
And if I knew someone with a hardship, what, especially something so tragic as a loss, what would not be helpful?
Hmm. Try to think. I don't, because of course that can be something so different for so many people. But as far as for myself, it was just having a support system around me, having friends that would check in on me, friends that would kind of give me a quiet place to go to because of course being a father of five, and married and stuff, whatever, it's like, yeah, I'm going through some grief with it, but it's also still the reality of life of like, well, you know the family still needs things or whatever, stuff is still going on. But I was fortunate enough to where, like I said, I had some close friends who kind of gave me a place I could kind of escape to, even if it was just for a day or two. Because I had a friend who, you know, they don't have any kids or whatever. It's just them and their pets. And so just being able to just go to their house and stuff for a weekend and just, have quiet, undisturbed. I can just kind of just be to myself for a bit. Um, Stuff like that. Like I said, like something simple like that can do tons of wonders for a person that might be going through something like that or whatever. And I'm trying to think as far as like stuff that didn't help. I can't necessarily like pinpoint anything 100% specific. I guess maybe in some ways, like sometimes people try to like tiptoe around you and the subject or whatever, and which I appreciate, people trying to be sensitive too about the subject or whatever, but it's also kind of like a fine line of like, all right, don't make this awkward of like, I'm at work and it's like, people around know I went through this stuff, whatever, but it's also like, okay, let's also try to keep some type of normalcy. I don't necessarily want like super special treatment because of what happened, just because I think sometimes stuff like that will make a person um, like hyper aware of like, oh, okay, people are treating me differently because they're feeling sorry or whatever. And like I said, it's kind of like a fine line with that. It's like you can kind of take it too far towards like, it's like, oh, hey, it's like a spotlight on, hey, the guy sitting over there going through some crazy stuff or went through some stuff, whatever, whereas it's like, no, hey, let's just keep the ball rolling. Okay, hey, I got some requests I need to do, I got some tickets I need to fill, some customers I need to help, whatever. Hey, let me just continue to do what I do, type of stuff. So, but yeah,
I think you just shared some key points there. One is just having someone be there.
yeah,
I mean, you don't need to say anything, but
yeah,
just having a presence of someone else and then giving an outlet or outlets for you to so that you could just rest.
yeah,
And then not necessarily wanting special treatment and one to acknowledge it, but not enough to, but not also the other end to be over acknowledging where it's
yeah,
like, oh, thanks for reminding me again what I already am going through.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And there stuff like that, there is going to be like slip ups with certain things, whatever, just because there's just certain things that we just talk about in just general conversation, um that you know don't at least like for myself, I feel like don't feel too bad if you slip up, because like prime example, trying to think. Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, it was that same year or whatever. Like Mother's Day rolled around, and so we came back to work after the weekend or whatever. And then one of the guys at work, he was like, "Hey, so how was your Mother's Day?" And then like midway through him saying it, he was like, "Oh, sorry, dude." And I'm like, "Hey, it's cool. I'm not gonna flip out like, oh my God, how could you forget?" Because
Mm.
it's just a normal thing, just being like, hey, how was your Christmas or whatever, and somebody being like, I don't celebrate Christmas or whatever. It's like, you just, oh, sorry, and just keep going or whatever. It don't need to be like a whole, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's like, nah, it was just an easy slip up, whatever. Because of course you're gonna ask, oh, hey, how was your weekend? Or it's just like, hey, how was your weekend, or whatever. So stuff like that is going to happen or whatever. And plus everybody isn't going to know, you know, what your situation is and stuff. Cause it's like, new people that might come onto the job years later, they're not going to necessarily know that, oh, hey, this person lost these people or whatever. So I'm not going to get offended if the new guy 5 years from now is like, hey, so how was Mother's Day? Oh yeah, it was cool. or whatever. And then we just gonna keep pushing whatever, it's not like, oh, hey, new guy, here's the handbook of all the tragedies that's happened in my life. you know, so hey, make sure to look at the highlighted parts or whatever, and stay away from these topics. But it's like,
Mm,
it is what it is, because we don't know what all stuff a person has been through or whatever. Even just out in the public, you could just be walking through the grocery store or whatever, and just on the phone, just been like, "Oh, hey, mom, hey, how's it going?" or whatever, and you don't know that the person on the other side of the aisle might have lost their mom, whatever reason, whatever, So it's it's just life, Everybody is always going through something of some nature, or whatever. So, but it's just a matter of just, hey, just be just be empathetic, and stuff like that with people, and just like you said, hey, just uh be there for the person, and just show that you actually care you
yeah.
know
And I think one thing key I'm thinking through too is don't do it alone. Don't go
yeah,
through grief alone.
yeah,
Uh, Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people like you said, they're empathetic who genuinely care about you.
mhm,
And was beautiful even through something hard. Something beautiful is able to come out of that, which is Dad Needs to Talk podcast.
yep,
So starting a podcast, what have been some highlights and what have been some challenges starting a podcast?
yeah. So for me, honestly, the probably the biggest highlight has been the people that I have gotten to meet along the way, and the genuine friendships and bonds that I have built over this year and some change. Because when I first hit record on that first episode, back during that time, like I said originally, like I said, I was audio only. I didn't think I would be here with, hey, I'm on camera, I got a YouTube channel, I got a microphone, I went and got a laptop and made a website. I didn't think I would be doing any of this stuff uh day one, when I was like, hey, I'm just in a situation, I just want to record. Um, but yeah, I have met so many amazing people along the way from all over the world. Uh, and it's just been cool just discovering those connections with, oh, hey, there's people literally in the same city as me that are also doing this or have been doing this for many years, as well as like, oh, I got a chance to podcast with somebody in freaking Australia, or I have somebody that I'm planning to record with that's in Japan or whatever. And it's like, I never would have thought I would have had those type of connections to where, I'm just casually talking with somebody on the other side of the world about these shared loves and interests that I found along the way. And it's also been awesome and beautiful, the people that have found me and connected with me because of, oh, hey, oh, you're also a dad, so cool, or just a parent in general. And just getting those messages along the way. Of I remember early on there was a lady that had reached out to me, and she was like, hey, you know I like what you do, whatever, and I listen to your show when I'm in the car picking my kids up from school. And had somebody else a few months ago was like, hey, I'm a new dad. My kid is like a few months old, so it's cool to find somebody that's been doing this for a little bit or whatever. So, but yeah, the people has been the biggest and best part along the way. Another kind of highlight as well has just been the places I have got to go. Granted, I haven't gotten to go to many places, but you know, like some of the conventions and stuff I've gotten to go to. It's like, going to DreamCon and getting to actually meet a lot of these people that I've been friends with and stuff online for over a year. And it's like, oh, hey, we're actually here in person, and you're just as genuine in person as what you seem like when we're just tweeting on Twitter or talking in Discord or whatever. To to getting invited to speak on a panel at a convention. I never would have thought that within my first year, somebody would reach out to me and was like, "Hey, we want you here because of what you do." I never foresaw any of that, or I've now twice, because I just did it for the second time a few weeks ago. I got to talk to a college class about podcasting. I'm like, well, what do I know, guy that's been doing this for a year and some change? Because the first time they reached out to me last year, I had just hit my 6 month mark. So I'm like, you sure you got the right guy? You want somebody that's been doing this for 6 months to come and talk to your university class about this stuff, whatever. But I did it, and then like I said, they reached out to me again this year, and I did it again. But yeah, so those are like a handful of things that have been like the highlight of it. The the downside or anything like that. I would just say maybe kind of maybe like the finding the balance and pacing myself. Or I guess kind of like learning how to manage everything. Just because I can kind of get too invested in this or whatever, and I'm staying up late on a work night or whatever just to record or to get some content out or whatever, and just kind of coming to terms of like, you ain't got to do that, dude. It's like yeah, it's cool to try to have some type of like routine schedule for listeners or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's like I don't need to be up till 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, knowing I gotta be up at like 6 to get the kids up for school, to get myself ready for work, and then work a whole day. It's like, yeah, it's okay if okay, hey, it's reached a certain time of night, cut it off, walk away, and you can just try again tomorrow. So stuff like that, the kind of like behind the scenes stuff that, as like I said, as somebody who's been watching podcast or listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos for many years, you don't really understand how much work and stuff goes into this stuff until you're the one that's having to, you know, record and upload and edit, and you've recorded a whole thing and you're listening back and it's like, huh, so no audio got picked up. What happened? Or stuff like that, or certain programs to where it's like, hey, I have not touched nothing on this program. I've been using the same settings for months, and all of a sudden one day stuff just not working, and it's like, okay, now I gotta troubleshoot and stuff like that. Which for me, it's a tedious thing, but IT is my job, so it's not too annoying for me because I'm like, okay, I kind of at least like know where to look or where to research for stuff versus I feel sorry for somebody who is not super tech savvy that has a technical problem, and they're probably like, oh my God, pulling the hair out and stuff, to where it's like, okay, great. Now I feel like I'm doing work off hours.
But it's like, oh no, I need help. Oh, wait a minute. I am the guy they would
Yeah.
call.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much like the biggest thing that has been kind of like if I could call something a negative, it is just, yeah, just discovering like how tough it is keeping all this stuff running, and like I said, just trying to find that balance between family, work, doing this stuff, and then also, hey, find some me time somewhere in that mix too. So
So I just want to I'm thinking I just want to go down that trail.
yeah.
How many hours would you say that would be good to give yourself when creating your podcast?
Mm.
I mean, I know you got your groove now. So
Yeah.
how long what does that look like for someone if they're thinking about doing this? What would that entail?
Yeah. So for myself, on average, I probably have at least maybe 2 to 3 hour block just kind of set aside just because, and like I said, this is all, a lot of stuff is very specific to me because a lot of my episodes is on average at least an hour and a half. I've been noticing since this summer, whatever, I've done some 2.5 hour ones. So I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to break a record, but sometimes I'm just in a group of talking, or I'm having an awesome time with the guest, and we just happen to go that long. Um,
You need to talk. I mean, it's part of the title.
exactly. And so that has also been kind of like a funny thing that's kind of like come up along the way of like, I've said it many times on many episodes to where I might start the episode going in being like, all right, y'all, I don't really have too much to talk about this week, so this probably gonna be a short one. And then the little SpongeBob 3 hours later, and then it's like, well, I found enough to talk about for an hour and some change. So, and it just kind of at this point is like I try not to say I every now and then I find myself still being like, I don't have too much to talk about, knowing good and well I'm gonna get going and I'm gonna find something to do. Which is also why whenever I have a guest, I try to like, okay, hey, do you have a time limit? And if so, let me know. Okay, do you need to be done by 7 o'clock or whatever time, whatever, or hey, block out some time. 'Cause we gonna dive into some stuff, whatever. So, but yeah, for me, like I said, like yeah, with the actual podcast itself, yeah, probably at least a couple of hours on average. Now for like some of the other stuff, whatever, like if I'm just doing just like a shorter, like an individual, like a manga review or whatever, maybe 30 minutes or whatever, because so some of those which kind of go back to what you said, like well, like with me kind of having a routine of like, okay, I can kind of know how much I can kind of like slide into certain stuff. So, there's been days where it's like, I might come home from work and then it's like, okay, I got an hour before my kids need to be in practice, whatever. And I like, all right, y'all, dad's about to record real quick. And then I'll go in, knock out a quick 15, and then then we're running off to practice or whatever. So I've just kind of learned like, okay, depending on, like I said, if it's just like a small review or the podcast, this is how much time I need to kind of like allocate for myself for some wiggle room. Though I will say also with my stuff, um since and it's kind of the beauty for most of the part with being a solo host is I can just pause and go do something whatever if it's like, oh, one of the kids is acting crazy or whatever, or oh, I need to go pick up so and so from practice or whatever, or take them to an event or whatever. uh then okay, I'll find my little stopping point, just pause and be gone, go do whatever, and then come back and pick back up where I left off.
And the audience has no idea you left.
Exactly, because little funny behind the scenes thing that I have done a couple of times. It's rare when I have to do this, but uh there's been a couple of times to where I've stopped like mid thought and I've paused it and I've gone or whatever, and then I've come back and I've tried to get into the exact pose I was in. So if I was like, ah, and then pause, and I'm like, okay, I was, yeah. So I've done that a couple of times. Maybe not like to that specific thing, but it's been some stuff to where I've been like mid sentence, and like one of my kids come to the door with an emergency. I'm like, pause, and then I'm like, okay, I was in the middle of this thing, whatever, and the last word I said was this, and then I might say the word again, and then continue going. So sometimes, yeah, you'll never know.
The power of edits.
Exactly. So, but
No one has to know how
yeah,
many outtakes it took.
exactly. So, but yeah, that just like I said, just like a little personal, funny moment sometimes where I'm like Robert, you really don't need to freeze frame, and then come back and it's like, okay, what position out?
What piece of advice would you recommend for anyone who's interested in starting a podcast? I know a lot of people who have ever heard a podcast, at least myself included. I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could do this.
Yeah.
What would you what would piece of advice would you give?
The biggest and the simplest one is just do it. Cause honestly, a lot of times, and I can say this even for myself, but a lot of times we kind of might psych ourselves out or overthink it of like, oh my God, I gotta have it, it's gonna be perfect. Oh, I don't know how to edit, or I don't have a fancy microphone I see on these YouTube people's videos and stuff, whatever, or I don't have a super expensive camera. And it's like, who cares? Because because even like when I first started doing YouTube stuff, whatever, once again, I was doing it from my phone. So some of those like very early couple of videos, whatever, I just had my phone just posted up somewhere, whatever, and I was recording because it's especially when I saw my phone probably has a better camera than the one I'm using now. Cause I think this one maybe okay, I had to read the fine print. I was like, okay, it does say 1080p. I'm about to say 720, but it does do 1080. But like, I was like playing around with the settings on my phone, and I'm like, I can do 4K 60 on my phone. And so, but of course, I had to stop that because them files were huge. I have like multi-gig
Yep.
files on my phone, but yeah, the simplest thing is just start, and you can hone your craft along the way, because you can't be perfect before you even start, because you don't even know what you're doing most of the time. You don't know, oh hey, I invested all this money in a microphone, but it's like, oh no, my phone would have been fine for months until I figured out, okay, I actually do want to do this more, whatever, because a lot of times people will drop all this money on it or whatever, do a few episodes or maybe go for like a few months, and it's like, you know what, I'm not really feeling it. And now you gotta this ridiculous camera or whatever, that depending on what you do in your life, whatever, you're probably never gonna touch that camera again. You're gonna put it in the drawer or whatever. And now it's like, oh hey, that's hundreds of dollars just down the drain. But yeah, just starting um is a big thing that I try to tell people all the time. Is just start and you'll figure it out.
Well, that makes me think. I try to tell myself, done is better than perfect.
Yes.
It's better to put something out because if
Yep.
you wait to get perfect, you're never gonna have anything.
Exactly. Because I see people all the time. They're like, man, I've recorded all this stuff, and they're just sitting on it because they're like, I'm not too sure about this, or my voice sounded funny, or just once again going back to that psyching yourself out thing, to where it's like, you know, you're like, man, that episode wasn't good. And it's like you post it and somebody's like, hey, great episode, or enjoyed listening or whatever. And then it's like, oh, okay. I was too in my head about this, whatever. So,
No, and I
so
don't
yeah.
think, at least me personally, I don't think anyone really loves their voice on camera. They're like, I don't sound like that.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I think also giving permission that it's okay that your first episodes aren't that good.
Yeah,
It's everyone, and everyone starts with training wheels. It takes time to get into a groove and know how to do this. The same with with video camera. It takes a while to get comfortable in front of a camera. It takes a while to get comfortable for a podcast,
exactly.
and you got to
So
give yourself permission that that's okay.
exactly, because I'll say something to do. If you have like a favorite somebody you're watching on YouTube or whatever, look at one of their most recent videos and then scroll back to their earlier videos that they posted years ago, whatever, and that'll be all the proof and stuff that you need. Is like, okay, yes, this person might have thousands or hundreds of thousands of subscribers now, but and they have a really nice crisp camera. You can hear their voices nice and clear. But then it's like you go back to a video from sometimes even just like a couple of years ago or whatever. Um, then you'd be like, oh, okay, this is where they started off or whatever. Then okay, I can do it too. So yeah, so
No, it's good. Sorry, last tip. I'm thinking through what you said. I think it's a good point. Don't compare your start to someone's middle.
exactly, exactly, yeah, because once again, it kind of just goes back to that thing of like you don't know the full story of how a person got to where they are, and what they had to go through, what they had to do behind the scenes to get to where they are now. Oh yeah, yeah, you see they got the tons of subscribers, and oh, they're making money off of this and that or whatever, but you don't know the full picture of, like I talked about earlier, like, oh, the late nights they were up editing, or the sacrifices that they made along the way to create this stuff that you're enjoying or whatever. So yeah, definitely, yeah, just kind of just do your thing. Don't be afraid to do your thing, because that'll be another thing that will also just kind of just set you apart. Because there are some things that I have done, or some things that I have uh covered or reviewed, for example, to where I'm like, I have not seen hardly anybody, if anybody, talk about whatever series, for example, which, in the grand scheme of like YouTube and stuff, is like there's millions of people who have YouTube channels or whatever, and I am literally seeing nobody talk about this series. Don't let that be a deter for you. Let that be a encouragement for you, because it's like, well, hey, here's a chance for you to create your own spot, or to, hey, maybe you found a hidden gem,
Yep.
and you're gonna be the one to bring that to a wider audience and stuff. And so that is something that I have kind of embraced in my time doing it, uh because the prime example, the number one, which I don't know, I probably, okay, yeah, I always keep it within arm's reach while I'm knocking stuff off my shelf. But the manga that I started that whole trend with was Karate Survivor. This is one I came across when I was browsing the shelves literally a year ago now. I think about it. It was this time last year. And I was like, huh, the name sounds interesting, whatever. The premise sounds interesting. And what I'll do a lot of times, I'll either just search through Twitter or search on YouTube. What stuff pops up when I type in this series name? And I found maybe some dude over in Europe or something, whatever, but literally nobody else on an English channel was talking about that series. And I'm like, is it garbage? Is it that horrible? But it's just like, no, for whatever reason, nobody else has talked about it or whatever. And I've just continued to do that along the way. So yeah, no, do your own thing. Don't be afraid to stand out.
Yes. Yes. And I don't know if this has happened to you, but things I put out there, I'm like, oh, this is crap. I'm like, oh, people love it. And there'll be time that you'll pour your heart and soul, and you're like, why isn't anyone watching?
Yes, 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 yes. I have definitely been on both sides of that. Because speaking of which, another important thing I want to bring up too is don't get caught up in the numbers. Because I'll tell you early on, though those like early months or whatever, as soon as I post the episode, I'll be at work. I have a tab open over here on one of my other monitors, and I'm just like refreshing. I'm like, ooh, two people listening. Ooh, three, and stuff like that or whatever. And I just got so into looking at the numbers or whatever to, eventually, and a lot of this kind of changing mindset just happened because of people that I have met through the community or whatever, who have been doing this longer than me. Some of them are just like, hey, I post upload, I close the window, and I go about my day, because what good does it do you to just sit like watching the numbers go up? Because once again, you can kind of get in your own head of like, man, nobody has listened to this episode or whatever. And since I've stopped doing that or whatever, it's been some pretty pleasant surprises to where, I'll go on my YouTube channel and all filtered by most views. And I'm like, really? That review got that much traction or whatever and stuff, and especially if it's something that I hadn't checked on in many months or some of it maybe even a year, to where, those first few days or week or whatever, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, okay, that's the numbers it's doing or whatever. And then I don't think about it no more, because I'm like, I'm on to the next review, I'm on to the next podcast episode. And then I come back to it and it's like, whoa, okay, so cool. It's, and a lot of times that depending on what it is or whatever, like you said, if it's like this niche thing or whatever, it's like, oh, I don't think nobody else is going to care about this one series. And then you go back, it's like, oh, that's actually one of our most watched things or most listened to episodes with it. And it's like, okay, cool. Okay, maybe I got a couple other people that they're gonna also check out this series and stuff. So, but yeah, so don't get caught up in the numbers.
It's very, very good advice, Rob. Would you mind sharing what is your current podcast setup and all? I can add links below to so people can check that out on Amazon or whatnot.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with probably my favorite purchase I made is my microphone, and this is it's a HyperX QuadCast S, specifically the S model, because they have another one that that is just a solid red color. It doesn't change colors. So the S model is the one that you can change the settings and make it do different colors. You can make it like it has all types of like neat little tricks and stuff, whatever. But yeah, so I got that one. I'm trying to think. I think it was maybe it was for sure under 150. I can't remember specific, but I know for sure it was that. My laptop, I got this little Lenovo laptop. Um, and honestly, this laptop was maybe a few $100, because it had decent specs and stuff, whatever, decent enough for me to do what I need to do. I didn't need to spend 500 or a grand on something. It was like, hey, okay, I looked at the specs and stuff, whatever, for what I'm trying to do, which also a benefit of me being in IT again, I could kind of know what to kind of like be on the lookout for, whatever. And so yeah, so it's done me good. My webcam is just a little Logitech webcam that we've had for years. I actually got it for my wife years ago because she used to stream on her Xbox at one point in time. But she stopped doing it, so it was just sitting in the drawer. So I'm like, oh, I'll take that. Uh, my little I have a little like very tiny ring light that is like literally that small, um that I got for like $10 somewhere. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, my headphones, these are some super old headphones. I need to get some new ones, but these are my headphones I got with my PS4 tons of years ago, as as evidenced by we're on the PlayStation 5 now. So, but it gets the job done, for what I need. Um, Now I will give a little side story, if you'll allow me, on
Always.
what actually led me to investing in the equipment. Because like I said, started off I just had just my phone and that was fine. So uh within my first few weeks of starting my podcast or whatever, there's a podcast that I've been listening to for years called the My Hero Academia podcast. And so just a normal week, I listen to the episode or whatever, and they shared it on Twitter, and just offhand, I just commented, I was like, hey, awesome episode. I just started podcasting myself. It'd be cool if someday I could maybe be a guest with her, because they had started having guests and stuff on over there. So I was just like, no, I just tossed it out there into the ether. But when I say someday, I'm thinking years down the line, I gotta build up a following so that somebody even cares who Robert is, who Danny's talk is. But literally within a couple of days of me making that comment on the post, the host Kendra, she reached out to me. She was like, "Hey, I saw your comment. I checked out your stuff. You seem cool. Do you want to come on the podcast?" And I'm like, "Sure." Once again, being naive to how all this stuff kind of works behind the scenes. Because like everything to this point has just been just me solo with my phone. I don't know how things work when you're trying to podcast with somebody else, that's not in the same room with you or whatever. And so this is so horrible. So I had my little Samsung tablet that I've had. I had these headphones. So I'm thinking, okay, I can just plug in my headphones to the tablet because it's got a camera and I can do voice or whatever. And so we get to recording day and they send the link. It's like, all right, hey, here's the link to I'm trying to think what program were they using? I think was it StreamYard or no. It wasn't StreamYard. Whatever program it was, it wasn't compatible on mobile devices.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, I got to set up whatever. I had an old piece of like a styrofoam from some packaging or something, whatever, that I had wedged my uh my tablet into it so it'll be standing straight up whatever in front of me. And I'm up here thinking, oh, look at me, I'm Mr. Professional. All right, let's click the link or whatever. And when it was like not supported, I was like, uh felt like a deer in headlights. And so what I had to do was I had to bust out my old laptop that's like 7 years old, that if it's not plugged up, it's dying. So I'm like, so I got to get my laptop, whatever. And so I'm up here trying to get this old laptop booted up, whatever. And and so I get into the thing, whatever. Horrible experience. Horrible experience uh because I was using just the built-in microphone and stuff, whatever, through the laptop, whatever. I could hear my own voice in my headset.
Hmm.
And so that sucked because that is a long podcast episode. They record for at least an hour, if not more. And so every time I'm talking, I'm hearing what I'm saying come right back in my ears. And so that is very awkward to try to have like a normal conversation while hearing other people that might chime in while hearing yourself. So it was a lot of kind of like me talking and maybe like pausing for a second so that my voice would come through myself. And then I go on. After that debacle, I was like, I want to talk to my wife. I was like, hey, apparently I don't have to wait years to be a guest on somebody's podcast. I need to be prepared. I need to go invest some money into some stuff, whatever. And I went out literally probably within that same week and was like, okay, microphone, affordable laptop. Like I said, we already had the camera or whatever, I already had the headphones, whatever, and I never looked back. Um, and so, but like I said, that was only because that situation came about. If they hadn't reached out to me or whatever about, hey, we want you on, uh, who knows, when I might have invested in this stuff, whatever, because I would have just been like, okay, I'm still podcasting by myself. And and that was also why I was kind of hesitant for so long to have guests on my podcast, because once again that learning curve of like, I don't know how this works. What if my kids come in and I gotta stop, so but hey, here I am. I've had dozens of guests on now, and like you said earlier, I've got my routine. I know how stuff works, whatever. But yeah, if it wasn't for um somebody being kind enough and giving me a shot, who knows, where I might be in the grand scheme of all this stuff, because I might not have been open to collaborating with more people, being a guest on other people's shows, having guests on my show and all this stuff. So but yeah, so
Well, that is incredible. Thank you for sharing that story. And it sounds like another piece of advice is you don't have to be fully established
yep.
potentially be to be a guest. And I think that one of the biggest things is you asked. So don't one thing I tell my kids is don't say no for someone.
Yeah.
So let them tell you no, because
Yep.
they might actually say yes.
Yep. Yep. Because I have definitely been surprised by a lot of people that have said yes to me. And whether it be just people that have been doing podcasts for a long time, people that have way bigger channels and stuff, whatever than me. Because the two prime examples, um, one of which is Mama Loves Manga, because she's been doing this for many years. She's somebody that she has, you know, deals with viz and stuff like that. We're like, oh, this is somebody who's been doing this for many years. She's big enough to where she's getting review copies sent to her for stuff, whatever. Ain't no way she'll say yes to me or whatever. And she did. She's like, oh yeah, of course, Robert. And we did a very awesome Valentine's Day episode this year. And the other big one for me too, which is somebody that you had on, our good friend Chase the Dark Sage, um, uh, end of last year when I was trying to figure out my kind of end of year stuff, whatever. And I was like, I know Chase is into a lot of stuff that I'm into as well, because I'm gonna be doing a hey, favorite games, anime, manga, the whole shebang. Who is somebody that might be into the stuff for there? But I'm like, man, he has a pretty big following. He's been doing this for a long time. I don't know. And then he was like, oh yeah, heck yeah, dude. Yeah. Just tell me when and I'll be there. And then the other like the bonus thing too with him is like, oh, he's also in the same freaking metroplex as me. We're both in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So I'm like, oh, go figure. So, but yeah, so don't be afraid to shoot your shot, because worst case scenario is they can just say no, or they might just say, not now. And that is okay, but at least you tried, because like you said, don't assume that just because they have a bigger platform or whatever, that it's going to be a no. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Um, as some of the people who might say yes, because I've even had some people that I'm like, hey, I want to interview you because of whatever thing, and they're like, I've never been on the podcast. Nobody has ever asked me to be on one. And for me, that's kind of like a cool feeling too, of like, oh, I get to be the first person to kind of like, hey world, look at this dope person and stuff or whatever like that. So yeah, so don't be afraid to reach out to people, and to shoot your shot and stuff. So and I'll also say is, don't be discouraged if you don't hear from the person immediately, because there are so many factors that go into this stuff. Something that I've learned is that, some people, their DMs are open or whatever, and they check stuff all day long, whatever. Some people, they don't even, they might have a Twitter page, but they're never on social media. They just get on to share the link, like, hey, new episode, and they sign out or whatever. Or some people, maybe because of certain stuff that might have happened in the past or whatever, they they might have their inbox or whatever filtered to where it's like, hey, if we're not following each other, I'm not even going to see your message. So you might think like, man, this person is just ignoring me, but it's just like, no, they just don't never check their messages or whatever. Or you might have to check, and they might mention in their description like, hey, if you need to contact me, this is how you can do it. Or hey, don't DM me, reach out to me through my business email. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of different ways you have to kind of like look at this stuff. Is like, just because, like I said, somebody's not responding, whatever, don't freak out. It might just be, oh, life got hectic for them. They ain't been on Twitter in months, or hey, they only do business through email or whatever the case may be. So yeah, so it's a lot of things that kind of like to consider and stuff like that or whatever when it comes to reach out to people, when it comes to collaborating, all this stuff. So there is no one set path for all this stuff, because it's so many people out there doing so many different things. So
Rob, I really appreciate our time today. Is there anything else you'd like to let our audience know before we wrap up?
yeah, I guess my final words would just be just to be encouraged, be confident with whatever you do. If you're going through something, it's okay. to feel the feelings that you're feeling. It is okay if you need to take some time for yourself. Whether you're somebody that is doing content creation or somebody that's just, hey, you're just a regular person that's just living your life. It's okay to take a step back. Because some advice that I've learned from some awesome friends and stuff that I've met along the way is that as long as you communicate with people, whatever, people are understanding, because even if you just say, hey, life's crazy, the podcast is going to be on, I got to take a break or whatever for a while. Sometimes it's just sending out that simple thing or whatever, just so people won't freak out like, man, they haven't posted in a while. And it won't necessarily be like they're upset. It's just they might genuinely be concerned, because especially if you have a certain pattern of like, okay, Scott usually tweets a lot. We haven't seen Scott tweet in like 2 weeks. Has anybody seen them? Are they okay? So so just communicate. I guess is a big thing, um, with all you do, even just a general life thing. Communication is key, and communication is important. But yeah, don't be afraid to get out there and to pursue your dreams, to try to give a shot for whatever it is you want to do. And last little nugget too is when it comes to anime, manga, video games, don't be afraid to expand your taste, because there is so many series out there aside from the big ones that everybody is talking about. There are so many awesome little hidden gems. So hey, don't be afraid to, hey, if you're at Barnes and Nobles, take some extra time, just kind of browse through the shelves a little bit longer, scroll through Crunchyroll or Netflix a little bit longer, because you never know. Don't be afraid to, hey, you know what, that looks interesting. I'll give that a shot. Because there is a bigger and more wonderful world out there than what you might think. So that is Robert's final piece of advice. Try new things.
I love it. Rob, and last question. So if people wanted to follow you or podcast, where can they find you these days?
Yeah, so pretty much everywhere I am at Dad Needs to Talk. That's I'm most active on Twitter. I do have an Instagram and a TikTok, but I'm barely active on them nowadays. Whatever, I have them. Which key thing, if you have any type of like content stuff, whatever, get your handle on as many platforms as possible, because even if you might not use it today, there might come a day to where you might want to make a TikTok and it's like, oh great, somebody else has, your online name or whatever. So get your name everywhere. But yeah, so I'm Danny to Talk everywhere. Um, Same on YouTube. And like we said before or throughout this discussion, I talk about everything from fatherhood and family, manga, anime, and sometimes video games. So yeah, so Danny to Talk everywhere for both audio and video. You'll find me.
And I'll put links down below for anyone who's wants to find you as well.
Awesome. Much
Rob,
appreciated.
thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate having you.
And thank you so much for having me. And this has been a blast to talk about, or to talk to you.
you you have a good evening, Rob.
All right, you too. Thanks.